Alright, hey guys, so today I just wanted to share some information that I found fascinating regarding Steam. So I was kind of curious how many games have been released this year so far compared to last year. And I remember seeing this pie chart released by Steamspy, and this shows all the games released up to 2016. I think this was released in November of 2016, so it doesn't even include December's games. But as you can see here, it is kind of fascinating just to look at this. So here is the amount of games released in 2016 on Steam, 4,200. And that's 38% of all the games that have ever been released on Steam. So if you combine that with 2015, that's over 65% of all the games released on Steam were released in 2016 and 2015 alone. Before that, like in 2013, only 565 games were released. In 2012, only 379. I'm pretty sure Steam and Greenlight was released at the very end of 2012, and that's why there's this huge uptick in the amount of games that have been released. And a lot of people have been thinking there's just too many games coming out on Steam, too many terrible games. There's not enough space, developers are not getting enough money for their good games. There's a lot of hidden gems that are just buried within piles and piles of crap games being released on Steam. So I was kind of curious the impact of this year. So I went to Steam Spy and I looked up the numbers. Here are all the numbers. I'll have this in the description below if you guys want to look through it. But essentially, so far in 2017, there's been 3,006 games, which is kind of crazy considering it's still July. So we're a little bit over halfway through the year. So it's kind of interesting to see how it'll play out for the rest of the year. But I went ahead and compiled all of this information and I made a new pie chart, which is here. This just shows the amount of games released between 2013 and 2017. And in blue is the 2017 games. So as you can see already, even though this year is not done, it's only a little bit over halfway done, it's still taking up a huge chunk of this pie chart. And if you go to Steam Spy, you can kind of see how many games have been released compared to last year. So at the end of last year, there was 400 games being released in July, and then in August there was 469 games, and then in September there was 490, and in October there was 510. If you go to this year, it's basically the same pattern, 400 games each month. Something that's kind of interesting though is in June, Steam decided to get rid of Steam and Greenlight. They completely just removed the whole voting process, and Greenlight was completely removed, and they replaced it with something called Steam Direct. And people were sort of thinking that Steam Direct was going to reduce the amount of shovelware and crap games on Steam, but going off this information, I don't know if that's necessarily true. As you can see in July, which is when Steam Direct was released, there's still 442 games that have been released so far. There's probably going to be more released in the next couple days, so you can kind of say this is about 450 plus. I just think it's kind of interesting that getting rid of Steam Greenlight hasn't really done much, at least not yet. That could change in the future, but currently there is just tons and tons of games being pumped out onto Steam. And if you guys are not familiar with how Steam Direct works, basically all you have to do is fill out some forms with your personal information and other stuff. And once you get accepted, I guess pretty much everyone gets accepted. All you have to do is pay $100 and you can release whatever game you want on Steam. There's barely any checks, or there's no voting system. There's nothing. You can just anyone can release a game on Steam for $100. That's the way it works now, which is just kind of crazy to me. And I feel I don't know, I feel Steam Direct might encourage more bad games getting released on Steam. Another thing that they did fairly recently is they prevented new games from getting Steam trading cards. So you have to go through this waiting period. Once your game gets released on Steam, you have to have a certain amount of Steam sales and a certain amount of playtime before your game gets Steam trading cards. So every new game that's coming out on Steam, it doesn't have Steam trading cards, which is kind of interesting. And that's just to reduce game developers from giving away their games for free, so that people farm the trading cards, sell them on the market, and then the developers get money that way. Instead of making a good game, they're just making money off the trading cards. So they're trying to reduce that. But yeah, I just found this all interesting. There's no real point behind this. I just thought I'd share it with you guys. So yeah, just like I said, in blue is the amount of games released in 2017. In like cyan, in the bottom, that's the amount of games released in 2016. And then in green, that's 2015. And then brown 2014, and then red is 2013. So the difference between like 2013 compared to 2016 is very, very significant. And I mean, you could say that there's been like an uptick in the amount of PC gamers, which means there's going to be more PC game developers, which means there's going to be more games like in general. But I feel like Steam Greenlight really like pushed that even further. Like between 2013 and 2014, you can really see a huge difference. This is like 300% like growth, which is just ridiculous in my opinion. And ever since then, it's just been jumping by like over 50% each year. And I'm pretty sure there's going to be like at least 5,000 games released this year in 2017. It's still like yet to be determined, but if you just go off the numbers that have been released so far, I feel like it's going to keep increasing. I don't think Steam Direct has really changed anything compared to Steam Greenlight. I feel like it's just as easy. I mean, it's probably even easier to get games on Steam now because you don't have to go through this like waiting process where you have to get people to vote on your game. Now you just release it and you're done, which is kind of ridiculous. I mean, $100 really isn't that much money. Like if you really think about it, it's not that much. I feel like most people could save up $100 in at least a month or two if they really wanted to get a game on Steam. And yeah, I don't know. It's just kind of interesting to me that that Steam Direct really hasn't changed much compared to Steam Greenlight. And currently, there's just as many bad games coming out on Steam than there was with Steam Greenlight, which is fascinating to say the least. I don't know if it's a good thing or a bad thing. I mean, personally, I like collecting games, so the more games, the better. But I know a lot of you guys are really sick and tired of seeing so many like poorly rated games on the Steam store. So yeah, I don't know. Let me know what you guys think in the description below. I'm kind of just rambling at this point. I just thought this was interesting, and I decided to make this little pie chart to just show you guys the difference of like what's going on here. So like I said, the 2017 is just up to today, which is July 27th. It doesn't count the rest of the year. I'll probably make another one of these graphs at the end of the year just to compare between 2017 and 2016. I predict that there's going to be close to 6,000 games released on Steam. It might be less than that. I feel like, I don't know, it might be more around 5,500, but still, it's going to be a lot. Especially around Christmas time, because a lot of games come out in like December and November. But that's pretty much it. So thanks for watching, and yeah, I'll have all these links in the description below if you guys want to check them out. And until next time, have a nice day.